Can I ask about another 50-goal scorer? Sam Reinhart of the Florida Panthers. I believe he's the second Florida Panther to do it since the Russian rocket Pavel Bure. It's an interesting story with him. We were talking about Zach Hyman and his contract situation, and he's settled in with the Oilers. Sam Reinhart is a pending UFA at the end of the year, and I feel like I don't feel as if enough people have talked about his situation or have inquired enough, or I don't know what the deal is, but how much money does he stand to make this summer with the way he's been with the way he's been performing this year?
Well, it depends if he wants to test free agency or not, right? And my sense is he's not particularly inclined to do that at this point in time. You know, Florida's a pretty good place to play. And, his career has taken off even more since he was traded there. It checks the boxes. It's a competitive team. You've got lifestyle, you've got weather, you've got taxes, you've got teammates that are signed for a long time. Like I think the reason this probably hasn't been discussed, it's not just because the Panthers maybe don't get the same amount of press. I think it's also because there's a sense that there's not a lot of friction there, even though he doesn't have a new contract. Now, that being said, last I inquired on this, and it wasn't too long ago, it didn't sound like they were really anywhere in terms of being close to an agreement. But I just think ultimately he's probably going to have to take a little bit less on the AAV to remain in Florida. What do you got? Barkov at 10 million? Is that right?
I can double check that, but this is a team that has the weapons they have, and in order to stick around, you might have to take a pay cut.
Yeah, I mean, but they also have the tax advantage like the Lightning do, and I'm not, the Lightning have been able to establish kind of an internal payroll, and you haven't seen players get 11 and 12 and 13 million there, because I think that they understood, first of all, as long as they played in Tampa, they were still in a pretty good spot favorably with the tax situation. And also they're on a good team, and, they just have the right vibe going. I think that's where the Panthers have gone. I mean, even that Gustav Forsling deal that they announced at the trade deadline, his extension, he definitely could have got more money had he went to July 1st. And so I think with Reinhart, the best way to put it, Julian, is I still think everything points to them finding a way to get this done, finding that sweet spot. I don't know if it's 9.5 million, or maybe you could get to 10 and match Barkov. I just don't see him exceeding Barkov on that team. Whereas if he goes to July 1st, look, if he stays in Florida, you're talking about an 8-year deal, most likely.
Yes.
If he hits July 1st, you can only get that 7-year contract. But I think it's very plausible that someone goes above 10 million with him on the open market. It's hard to see him hitting the open market. But I will say this: I've started working on the free agency rankings, and they're not out. I don't know when they're dropping. Probably not till April, but I've started chipping away at it. And Reinhart, probably not surprisingly, is going to be the number one free agent on the board unless he signs a contract extension before the rankings drop. But I think that it's fair to say he's in the best position of any pending UFA entering this summer.
10 million, you make Barkov money. 9.5, you make Matthew Tkachuk money. It's still pretty good.
Right. And I think that's basically probably the conversation ultimately when it gets time to do it is, and if he doesn't, if he feels really strongly that it's not a good idea, I don't think the organization will bend on it. Put it that way. I think the organization sees Tkachuk and Barkov as the absolute pillars. And, as much as Reinhart's had a great year and, but he's getting close to 30, right? Like the sum of that contract, if he does sign and end up signing an 8-year deal, will be certainly some risk for the team just with age-related decline. So I think that will be part of the give and take of the negotiation, but I have no reason yet to believe it's not going to get done. I think it's just too good of a situation. I mean, would you leave if you were him?
No, especially since they're still a cup contending team, I wouldn't go. Plus Florida. I mean,
yeah.
It's Florida.
And they just opened this new practice rink in Fort Lauderdale where guys driving their golf carts to the morning skates and practice days. Like, it's a pretty good life. Because I would say the only thing working against Florida in prior years is the arena is kind of in an unfortunate place.
Yeah.
In terms of, if you go down there, you'd rather stay near Fort Lauderdale, be near the beach and all that scene. It's, it can be 30, 40 minutes plus, even more if there's traffic, commuting to the arena and back. And so that's kind of annoying. But now that they've even taken that out where they can do morning skates and practice days in Fort Lauderdale and you only just go to the arena for games. I mean, it's kind of like the LA setup. I mean, a lot of the LA players live in Manhattan Beach or around that area. And then they commute downtown to games. And that's the only time they really have to go to Staples. I mean, or Crypto.com Arena. But the you know, same kind of setup, except the tax situation is much better if you're in Florida versus California.
I completely forgot Staples renamed itself to the
Me
Crypt.
too. I caught myself mid answer there.
Also, with Florida, I once have been to. It's not called FLA Live Arena anymore. I think it's called.
Oh no,
Amerant Bank.
that thing has changed names
Changed
so
many
much.
names.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, it would like I stayed at a hotel like right by the arena. There's not much to do in that part of the city beyond this mall that's around there.
there's
but I
a
didn't
really
get to go
nice
to the
mall there.
I didn't get to go to the mall.
There's a really nice mall. Like, I'm not a shopper, but if you want to do shopping, and certainly like there's like food options in that mall, but it's basically a big parking lot in the suburbs. Like it's like you're not in. Other than the weather was nice, it's almost you don't get the benefits of being in Florida if you're out in Sawgrass there,
Yeah,
or Sunrise or whatever they call it.
So I think it's Sunrise. Anyway, next time
Yeah.
I go in that area, I need to pay a visit to the Elbow Room.
Dude, you need to stay at Fort Lauderdale and just suck it up.
Yeah, just drive
Like, that's-
up there.
I mean, I didn't last year. The only time I've gone down there and not done that is last year during the playoffs. Because during the playoffs, let's face it, work is more of the focus of the trip. So I stayed closer to the rink and just because it was convenient. But ironically, the Leafs stayed in Fort Lauderdale during last year's playoff series that I covered there, and they didn't do morning skates. They just did their availability at their hotel. So I was doing the reverse commute that I was trying to avoid anyway. So anyway. We're boring people with logistics, but logistics are a big part of covering the league properly.
Absolutely.